These 5 mistakes that I'm going to talk about in this video are ruining the quality of any poster design that you're creating for presenting your academic research at a conference, at a final year viva, or anywhere you want to talk about your research. And so what I'm going to do in this video is to expose you to 5 mistakes that students are making today that are making the quality of their posters to be terrible. If you're interested in this, please sit back and relax as we get started with this video. So in a moment, we're going to go into this video. But first and foremost, my name is Dr. Michael Okereke. I'm an associate professor within a UK university. And over the years, I have had to work with students, many students, trying to show them how to best show off their research. And one of the ways that you can do this is by creating a stunning poster. But we find that students over the years are always making some sort of mistakes that I see consistently with their poster design. And so from what I've gained over the years working with students, I want to show you some of these mistakes so that you do not make that mistake and you create the best, most stunning, amazing poster for your research. The first mistake that I see all the time with students when they make their academic poster is the fact that they overcrowd the poster with a lot of information. In fact, students are always used to probably writing academic reports, but then to synthesize that information into something that becomes a visual instrument for presenting their work, which is essentially what a poster is, this is quite hard a lot of time for many students to understand. And so you end up finding them overcrowding the poster with a lot of information. And I'm going to unpack what I mean by overcrowding. In fact, when you overcrowd your poster with information, the first thing that could normally happen is that you either have too many texts or too many images. But what we want is a balance of those two things. So let's look at some examples of posters where this overcrowding of information exists. And so what we see here is a poster that is designed from a research in my area of specialty, which is application of numerical methods in assessing the viability of 3D printed stents. So it doesn't really matter what the title is. So it's got a nice layout to it. So if we look at the full design of this poster, right away you see the problem that we are talking about, which is overcrowding of this poster with a lot of text. In fact, you've got text in this column, you've got a lot of text here, you've got a lot of text here, and just 2 images on this poster. This is very common. You see it a lot with posters. And so this is taking away from the quality of this poster because you're now expecting the reader to stand by your poster and read all this text of information. The converse to it is where you have a lot of images on the poster. And this is a classic example of where you have a lot of images to describe the background, even the aim of the research, the methodology, introduce the flowchart, and then some of the results here. And so this is not, again, a good thing. You want to have some measure of text in the poster rather than just a lot of images in it. And so what would represent a good poster? So this is how I've managed to take that same information and put a good balance between text and images, and that's what we see here. So you clearly the introduction, the background to the work, the aims and objectives of the work, and the methodology. So this methodology is best presented using a flowchart to sort of capture all the steps taken in this methodology. And then you begin to present the graph, the data, a little conclusion. So when we put all that together, you have a good poster with a healthy balance of text and images. In fact, the rule of thumb I recommend for my students is to have about 40% of the content of your poster being text and the remaining 60% being images. So that's the first mistake. If this is the kind of content that you like, please do subscribe to this channel so that when such contents that I'm making as part of your academic journeys are made, you'll be the first to see it. The channel really is dedicated on computational modeling, but because my students, the subscribers to this channel, a lot of them are students, PhD students, researchers, they would have to deal with creating posters, writing academic publications, and the like. And so I also dedicate aspects of this channel in such kind of topics to sort of help students create the resources that can help them showcase the excellent research that they are doing. So if you're not interested in computational modeling, but you have research ideas that you want to publish, then please do give me a sub to this channel so that videos like the ones I'm making about academic journeys overall would help you. And if there are ideas of, again, aspects of your academic journey that you want me to, again, make a video about, please do let me know in the comment section of this video, and I'll read them. I try to read all of them and try to respond to all of them. And I'm really here to support students as they make the academic journey. Thank you for your interest in this channel. Let's get back into this video as we look at other mistakes that students are making associated with their poster design. The second mistake that I see quite common again with posters is when you have hard to read text. It becomes difficult to read text on the images, and the reason why students make this mistake is essentially because you're used to creating documents, let's say Microsoft Word, where normally you would choose a font size of between 12 and 14, and so when you go into the sphere of designing a poster, you quickly start using the same font sizes, and that can be a problem because on a poster, if you use a font size of 14, it's not very good, and so that becomes a challenge. So let's look at some examples. So this is an example of a poster where there is hard to read text. So if you're looking at this poster from a distance, although we've got the images, but the text here is quite hard for you to read. So if we zoom into, it's only when we zoom in that we'll start seeing what this is. And you don't want that, because when you're trying to design a poster, you want to be able to stand a feet away from the poster and still read the content, because the audience who will be reading your poster would stand away from it, and so they read it. So the rule of thumb, again, I recommend for students is not to use more text of the font sizes that you have within your normal Microsoft Word documents. So what you tend to use is to start from a font size from 28 points would be enough for a good legible view for this. The other thing that you find also common with students in terms of how to read text is when they start using other type of fonts. So for example, you see here, these are very cursive handwriting fonts, which again is quite difficult for readers to read. And so, especially if you're standing away from the poster. So that's a problem. Another example is this, again, difficult to read, or even this type, which is called a monospaced font sizes. This is a Query New. So they are all very bad. How do you correct this? Please use a sans serif font size, something like Arial or Calibra or Verdana or Helvetica. So these are amazing sans serif text that is really good. When you put it on a poster and you stand away from it, then you can nicely read the content. So that's the way to solve this problem. The third mistake that I see again students make on their posters is having a really poor layout or organization to the poster, and this is really important, and I think the reason why students make this is that they have not sorted out clearly in their minds how they want to present the content of your poster. A lot of time you've got a blank sheet of paper or a blank screen and you want to start developing your poster, and so you start dumping information randomly on that, and that can lead to a really disorganized system. So let's look at an example. So this said a typical poster on this topic of unhelpful thinking style is taken from Canva, and the students just started putting information with images again on that poster. So some of the text boxes are all created here, some are slanted in order to fit into the space, and some other things are interfering with the others, and this is a jumbled look. It's not a good way to design your poster. You want to have a sequence to how the poster is designed, and so in this instance, this is not a good poster. So if we try and correct this, what do you do? So this becomes a correction of that poster. Now what we have here is a clear representation of the poster with everything oriented perfectly in the way they need to be. So there's a clear title side to the poster, and every block of text captures a unique information, and so this is how it is. So one of the ways of correcting this sort of error is to make sure that you present blocks of ideas on your poster, and probably each block will have a unique information associated with it. These are ideas, capsules of ideas that you're using to describe what you're trying to do. Another way of making sure that you have a structure to your report is to sort of use a storyline, a carousel of ideas as they keep moving. So that's essentially what you see here. So the topic, again, this is taken from Canva. The topic here is killer tips to develop effective habits. So you start right from the top and then you just move your way around, and as you move around until you get to the end, you're presenting ideas that define what you're trying to do. So you could imagine having your research starting with introduction to aim, to the project methodology, and then from project methodology to results, interpretation of the result, and ultimately to conclusion, so that as the reader is reading or standing in front of your poster, you're guiding their eyes in the story. So you're telling a story, because in the end, poster presentation is about storytelling. You're using a visual instrument to tell the story of your research, and this becomes an excellent way to do it. Other simpler ways of doing that is to again use the same carousel approach. So you could then have the background, the introduction, the methodology, the results, and also the conclusion. Again, each of these being represented in this way. So for my students, this is the template that I give to them when they are preparing their undergraduate final year poster presentation. And what we see here is the layout of, again, to help with the storytelling. So you start with the top end being the information about the project, the name of the student and the supervisor's name. Then there's a section dedicated to background, which the student have to incorporate, the aims and objective, the methodology, implementation, and all that. If you want to have access to this particular poster, please look at the description section where I put a link that will help you download a copy of this template, which can help you with your work. Essentially, for you to correct this error of poor layout and organization, you must have a structure to what you want to present, and you tell the story clearly using that structure. And using any of these approaches that have been shown here will be the best way to do this. The fourth error I see students make a lot of time with their poster is when you have a color clashing. The color clashes on the image. So a lot of time you have very dark backgrounds and then very, maybe red colored or other color text on your system. So the color clashing is a problem. And I don't blame students for this, because being able to select the right kind of color can be quite a challenge. And so what do you need to do to solve this problem? Ideally, you want to use a color palette. So you consult and find a color palette system. Use that color palette system to find what colors actually go together in your presentation. And one of the easiest way to do this is to go to Canva. So basically, this is Canva. It's a graphic design tool. There is a student version under education, so it's on canva.com. Under education, you can actually sign up an account using your student email address. So if you, let's say you create a poster. So if you just create a poster design, which is sort of what we have here. So you could go here and search for posters. So again, academic poster. And then look at the examples that we have here. So this is an example of an academic poster that we have. One of the amazing things with Canva is that it can help you find what color systems are useful for what you're trying to do. So let's say we are working with this poster. Again, what you find with this poster is that the background color is quite dark and the text is white, which is a good case, so it works quite well, because then you can see the text despite the fact that the background is dark. But maybe you don't want a really dominant black background. So again, there are these template styles associated with your Canva, which means it tells you which colors go together nicely. So for example, you're starting with a background and then white. These two will go nicely, and then you move all the way around. So if you click again, it will shuffle through. So for example, so now we see the same system. This time around, there's a dominant white background and then a blue background. So it's really important to have the right color scheme so that your background doesn't clash as much as we see. The other mistake students make when it comes to this color clashing is also having a too distracting background. So you've got a lot of background image in your poster and it's making your text not to be very legible. So this is an example of a poster that I've designed, again on the same topic. So it has a background image, but if you look very closely, you'll find that actually the background image is distracting from the information. Even when we zoom in, you can begin to see nicely this little color scheme, at the back. However, the images stand out clear in themselves, the text stand out clear, and there is no distraction to that. So if you look at some other examples, so this is another example where again you have a green background. However, the images are nice and you can see, even though there's background, the images are there correct. Essence of having some sort of background is that it adds detail to your pic, to your poster. It makes it more elegant. And if you really want to see how Canva can be used for doing this kind of amazing, stunning posters, please look at the link here where I've shared a video that I've made based on this. And then this one has more activity going on in the background. But again, I've tried to make sure that the background of the poster is not messing up the content of what I've got. So the final mistake that I see students make all the time when they design poster is using a terrible image quality. The quality of your image is absolutely important when you're trying to design a poster, because the essence of a poster is to create an image. It's a visual instrument. And so your pictures are absolutely important. And so students make mistakes of just using half-baked images, pixelated images, images that have bad aspect ratios, and this is not a good thing. So if you want to learn how to create stunning images that can help you with your poster presentation, this is a video that I've made that talks a little bit about how to create stunning images. So you've got the excellent image that can go into your poster to create the most amazing of the posters. And the final bonus point that I wanted to talk about, that is the sort of a sixth point in terms of creating an excellent poster, is where students have a lot of typos and grammatical errors in their poster design. In fact, nearly quite a lot of the time that I assess students, you will always see some form of typos. And I can see the reason why is because you can't always easily do a spell check on a poster, because typically it could be in PowerPoint, but you can, of course, but it's not a thought that quickly comes to the mind of students. And so what I want you to do in terms of correcting this error is that any text that you're going to put into your poster, put it, let's say, in a Microsoft Word document where you proofread it, spell check it and make sure that it's right before you bring it onto the poster. Where that doesn't work, when you finish designing the poster, give it to someone you trust and ask them to read through your poster to make sure that there are no mistakes, because there's nothing as bad as standing in front of a student's poster and seeing them making typographical errors or grammatical errors. It really, really damages the quality and perspective of the assessor or the academic as they look at your posters. If you really want to learn how to design excellent posters, then this is a video that I've made that talks about how to design excellent posters in PowerPoint, and this other video is another one that I've made that tells you how to design, again, posters using Canva. Thank you for your interest in this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.